Welcome back to My Conscious Dad on your hometown station, AM 1220 KHTS. Before we went on the break, we were talking a little bit about parenting and successful extraordinary relationships. So I want to jump back into the idea of extraordinary relationships.
Yeah, I think that there are some specific things that I kind of wrote down when it comes to creating extraordinary relationships. And the first thing I wrote down was extraordinary people. They consciously and actively co-create their relationships rather than sitting back saying, you don't do this for our relationship. You stopped giving into the relationship. Instead of being the victim perspective and putting blame or making the responsibility the other person, and it's their job to make the relationship extraordinary, it's that of I get to figure out how to reinvent this relationship or reinvent myself so that this relationship becomes extraordinary. I think that's the really power play in, and that's why I put extraordinary people consciously create and actively create their own relationships.
Right, because if you're unconscious and you don't really know what an extraordinary relationship is, you can call anything an extraordinary relationship.
And people do. It's funny because when I sit down with some of my clients and I ask them to rate themselves in their relationships, everyone thinks they're 9s and 10s until I open up a new possibility for them. And then they look at me with those eyes going, wow, no one's ever opened up that possibility for me. And then I got to explain to them, well, as a life coach, that's my job, is to point out things that you can't currently see. You just can't see them yet. Doesn't mean you're bad and wrong. It's just you haven't, your context, your capacity hasn't been challenged to that next level. And so when I point out, well, let's break down what extraordinary relationships look like. And when they do, and I can actually stretch that to be bigger, they go, oh, I never thought about it like that. I've never seen that before.
Right. So it's all about perception. And if you think you are in an extraordinary relationship, then you are, because to you.
That's right.
But to everyone else, or even the other person you're in that relationship with, they might not be in it either.
That's right. It's like, here's an example, and I love this example. In my early 30s, I bought myself a Chrysler 300. You guys, you know what a Chrysler 300 is? So I'm looking at Andrew, asking him. He's just looking at me like, yeah, of course you bought yourself a Chrysler 300. So I bought myself a Chrysler 300 because it looks sort of like a Bentley, right?
Sorta.
Until a Bentley pulls up next to you. Yeah, and then you kind of put your head down and go, oh, I need to just make a left-hand turn here. But, you don't know what extraordinary looks like. To you, it looks like whatever you've made it, painted that picture, until you walk over or you see another couple or two other people that are in love that actually go, oh, wow, I want one of those. What is that? That's called an extraordinary relationship. And so extraordinary relationship is extraordinary to you because that's what that's where you got to until you figure out how to reinvent a whole new level of extraordinary. Does that make sense?
Right. I was just going to say, it's kind of like, so for my own personal example, I would never, not never, but I have never rated myself on growth and development and being empowered and all that. I've never rated myself more than a 7, because as soon as I think I'm going to be a 10, there's another 10, there's another 8, 9, 10.
That's right.
So I always rate myself somewhere between 7 and 8, just because I know that for me, a top doesn't exist. So if I'm in an extraordinary relationship, I'm already thinking, what's better than extraordinary? So what's the next word, I guess, you could use to describe the next relationship? Right.
Or you can just decide that I get to constantly reinvent extraordinary. Extraordinary never ends. I mean, I don't know. You can just keep creating new words. Actually, I believe the biggest word in the dictionary, the most grandest word, is magnificent. But I don't know if that rolls off the tongue very well. I think most people understand extraordinary relationships when you use those terms. But I feel like I'm, reinventing a whole new level of extraordinary, and it all depends on me. I have to keep working on me to be more extraordinary. Not really necessarily my relationship. It's more about, how do I get all of the things that don't make me extraordinary out of the way? How do I complete them? How do I complete my past and let my past be my past so that I can be in the present moment and experience extraordinary. That's one distinction. If you haven't already figured out how to complete your past and you're still bringing some of your past stuff into this new relationship, you're basically tainting the new relationship and keeping it from becoming extraordinary. Some of us bring our past, failures and our breakups and the old trust habits that, we have, faltered on. And you're bringing all your baggage into this new relationship, and you don't realize that you're tainting the opportunity for it to become extraordinary. So there's one distinction, is letting go of your past. What other things can you think of that you can bring from within your own context that can taint the opportunity from creating extraordinary in your relationships?
I think if you don't love yourself or treat yourself like you are, let's say, for example, you rate yourself a 10. So if you aren't treating yourself like you're a 10, then you're not going to treat the other person in the relationship like they're a 10. You're going to treat them the way that you would treat yourself, really.
Yeah, I love that one. So if you see yourself as an 8 or a 5, and there's room for improvement when it comes to self-worth, or self-love, or self-appreciation, or gratitude, or if there's that empty void, then you're only going to see a 6, a 7, or an 8 in the relationship, because you still need some more work to do on yourself. Figure out how to get yourself to that 10. Even though that 10 keeps moving, you got to keep working on yourself rigorously to be able to love yourself enough. I feel like in extraordinary relationships that you love yourself so much that you don't really need the love from the other person. And I know a lot of times people are like, oh my God, it's like a concept that really blows people out of the water, because they've never been introduced to a concept that I love myself so much that I don't necessarily need your love, which now frees me up to be able to accept all of your love, to be able to appreciate everything that you give me, rather than I need it so much that when it comes to me, I'm like, I get my fix, and I don't even really appreciate what it was that you were giving me, right? It's like I have this uncle that, it's funny, since we were little, when he eats, he would just, and we used to laugh at him and say, did you even taste that? And he would laugh and he goes, no, I didn't really taste it because I was just so hungry. So you can be needing something so bad from somebody that when they give it to you, you're not even you're not enjoying it. You're not present in the moment and actually experiencing the experience.
Right. And here's what's great about people who love themselves, or one of the things that's great about people who love themselves, is that it opens up, I guess, a place of giving from overflow to another person that you wouldn't get anywhere else. So if you're in a relationship with someone and they've never been in, I guess, a healthy relationship, and they only know negative relationships, as soon as you come from your place of overflow and your healthiness and all the things that's great about you and that make you conscious and extraordinary, all of a sudden you're like the greatest thing in the whole wide world, because they've never seen somebody like you. And it's kind of like exciting, I guess, to know that somebody sees you that way. So why not help them get up there too, so that you guys can both be that way in that relationship?
Why do you think people get excited when they see something extraordinary?
Because they want it. And
go ahead.
Okay, I was just gonna say, well, I mean, they want it. They want to be a part of it.
Here's the crazy thing: they already have it.
Right.
They are already that. So when you do amazing things, I'm speaking to you as my daughter. When you do amazing things, and I see it and I recognize it, do you know what I'm really recognizing?
You. I'm
recognizing the greatness in myself.
Right.
And vice versa. When people come up to me and they go, hey, thank you, or whatever, and they're acknowledging me, and I have to constantly remind them, you're only seeing the greatness in yourself, because you too are that. And that's what gets us excited. When we see something that we like or we admire, like, oh man, I love that. What you're seeing is a reflection of yourself. You already are that. You just have some things that are getting in the way of you experiencing it and self-realizing your greatness. And that's the work that we have to be constantly, rigorously, and consciously aware of, so that we can get rid of all the stuff in our way of remembering how amazing and magnificent we really are.
Right. So when you're conscious, this is what I'm hearing you say, in a little bit, hopefully simpler. When you're conscious, you see the things that you like in other people, and then you try to get there. or you work on yourself until you get there.
No, you're already there.
Or, okay, maybe I'm trying to say, okay, I understand what you're saying. I'm
Trying to break it down for the common folk.
Yeah, so if you see something that you want in somebody else,
Yes.
it gives, and you're conscious, now you have the opportunity to say, oh, well, that person they're really good with their word. They have integrity. I wish I had integrity. Now all of a sudden you're conscious and you think, I do have integrity. So now why don't I just go and be my word and do all my promises?
That's right. Right. You hit the nail right in the head. And it's almost like you are a Lamborghini and your paint is kind of, peeling a little bit, right? And you're driving it in second gear and you're putting around the community and you're down your street and you're kind of like, man, this car's so slow and I can't, really get this thing to go as fast as I want it. And you're looking at all the defaults of this car. And all of a sudden you see a Lamborghini pull up in front of you and at the light it goes, and it takes off. And you're like, I want to be that. I want to go as fast as that Lamborghini is. I want to have the paint job that Lamborghini has. I want everything about that. And you just like, all of a sudden now you got excited and you go, I wonder if I can get this car to be that. Well, you are already the Lamborghini. You're just driving it in second gear and you need to wash off 10 years of dirt and grime and sun detoxing on it. So all of a sudden when you start to realize that maybe I can restore this car and you get it into the shop. You take a conscious action to get it to the shop to try to get it to be that Lamborghini. And when you get there, you ask the mechanic if he can do whatever he can to get this thing to a Lamborghini. And your mechanic goes, this is already a Lamborghini. You can already do all those things. I just need to teach you how to get out of second gear, get into third, and put it into the fifth gear so that you can, go as fast as you want. And we just got to wash off the windows and we got to give it, all the waxing. We got to do all that. Now, are you excited?
Yeah.
Why are you excited?
Well, first, I think it's exciting to just take that step and go to the mechanic and say, I want this to be a Lamborghini. That's already excited. I was already excited when I thought maybe there's a possibility this could be a Lamborghini. So now that I know I'm already a Lamborghini or that I have a Lamborghini, it's just like it all fell right on top.
And that's who we are. We are Lamborghinis. Your job is to find your mechanic. And your mechanic can look like your therapist. It can look like your coach, your life coach, or your motivational speaker, whoever, your dad. It could be anybody in your life that really can see you. The people that know who you are, the people that can recognize your Lamborghiniism. And if you can't see it, find the people that can, because those people are going to help you realize it. Help you remember who you are, help you discover it again, help you fan that flame until you decide to go from second gear and go, let's try this one. And that's your job in life, is to remember who you are, to self-realize yourself as the Lamborghini in your life.
And I think as you're saying that, I'm imagining a parent, mostly because that's what I had growing up. I had you reminding us all the time, or reminding me all the time, that I in this scenario, I am a Lamborghini. So I'm imagining, I know you say you have to find it in yourself, but if you're a parent, that's something you can teach to your kids.
You can, but I got to tell you right now, the only reason why you're able to see that you're a Lamborghini and you're waking up every day to realize it every new day is because I'm in my process of realizing that I'm a Lamborghini. And so we are all on that conscious, journey. Some of us just haven't woken up yet. And it's your job, if you want your kids to self-realize how magnificent they are, Mom, Dad, you have to start your journey, and you got to start it now. Because you can tell your kids all day long that they're a Lamborghini, but if they're not seeing it in you, they have to see, you have to drive up next to them and they look over and go, I want that. How many of you are actually have your kids looking at you wanting to be like you, that wanting to, seeing something in you that go, I want to be whatever my mom has. I want that so bad. I want whatever my dad, that greatness that he's got, that the way that he's compassionate or sensitive or patient. I want to be that. You got to be modeling it.
And it's you
Sorry
also
if I get too
no,
excited.
it's okay. You also have to be conscious of I guess what it is you're being, because you could think that your kids want to be just like you. You could have a nice job, a nice car, wear nice suits, have the nice house, and think, oh, my kids would love to be
That's
like me.
right. That's
When
right.
really, your kids want to be just like their coach or their teacher
That's right.
or their boss.
Yeah, because you can be so unconscious and so arrogant and righteous and have the ego playing this big game and making millions of dollars and have all this, have all these different businesses and everybody looking up to you and praising you, and you can be thinking, I'm doing a great job. I know without a shadow of my doubt my kids want to be like me. But your kid's going, no, I want to be like, Coach Ron, the soccer coach, who's really humble and really connects with his kids, deeply, and is really authentic, and everyone, I want to be like that. So yeah, you can be living in the illusion that your kids are looking up to you and admiring you. It's just, are you doing it consciously or unconsciously? That's the reason why we're doing this show, is to open up the possibility that you could be unconscious to a certain degree and not even know it. Like, how do you know you're unconscious? And I can tell you for me, because I can't tell you for anyone else but myself, the way that I knew that I was unconscious is that I had a very powerful experience that woke me up to realize the next level of consciousness, looking back going, oh my God, I can't believe that I was so unconscious. You have to have that awakening. And if you don't know how to find that awakening or have it, you need to ask somebody. You need to go search it out, because there are teachers out there, spiritual teachers, there's organizations or groups, there's workshops, trainings, to be able to get you to have that wake-up call.
Yeah, and like you said, you don't necessarily know that you're unconscious, or you wouldn't be unconscious.
That's right.
So sometimes just going and doing those things, whether you're not sure or not, you'll find out as soon as it happens.
And that's what I love when I have people that want to do the trainings. They're like, this one inspires me the most. I don't know, I've been not wanting to do your training for so long, but I'm forcing myself to go. I give them a high five, because I know their spirit inside of them is telling them, for all those things that you don't want to do, you got to force yourself to do them. That's called getting out of your comfort zone. Out of your comfort zone is the starting point of where your life really begins, where it takes off.
Sounds good. We'll get back to it more after the break. Stay tuned for more of My Conscious Dad right here on your hometown station, AM 1220 KHTS. Welcome back to My Conscious Dad right here on your hometown station, AM 1220 KHTS. So today we talked about extraordinary relationships. If you missed any of it, or you just want to hear it again, you can always find our podcasts online. So we're going to go ahead and wrap up the show in a minute, but I know you have a relationship workshop that's coming up, an extraordinary relationship workshop that's coming up in June.
Yeah, it's called the Relationship Course, and it's a 2-day powerful experiential workshop where I really break down the distinction of creating a relationship with ourselves first. And then once you learn how to master your own self relationship, you're able now, and you're freed up now, to be able to be in a relationship where you're contributing to it in a powerful way. And if you can get yourself and whoever it is that you're dating, or whoever it is that you're married to, you can get it both on the same page and giving into the relationship, it becomes extraordinary, rather than unconsciously realizing that you're trying to take from it. And there's very powerful breakthroughs that go on in the training room, and you can't experience them until you give yourself permission to be in one. And so I got one coming up in June, and it's June 11th and 12th from 9 a.m. Till 5 p.m. on Saturday, and then from 9 to 6 on Sunday. I don't actually have a location, but it's going to be somewhere in the Santa Clarita Valley. If you're interested in more information, give me a call at 661-505-5021. Or you can always email me at teamurbina, URBINA, at alexurbina.com. But other than that, I wanted to talk a little bit about some of the important keys about creating extraordinary relationships. And the first key is that I have to decide that I want one. And then once I decide that I want an extraordinary relationships, and that's what's important to me, then I have to now be responsible for creating it. You can't expect the other person in the relationship to bring that. Somebody in that relationship has to decide that they're going to be the leader of it, or be the facilitator, or be the one that gives permission to both of you to embark on it. There has to be someone that decides it and is the driving force for it.
Yeah, when I was growing up, I remember everything was always taught, especially in school, that everything was 50-50. 50-50. So your relationships with your friends were 50-50. You shared everything 50-50. Everything was always 50-50. And especially when it came to like class projects, you have 50% of the responsibility and you have 50% of the responsibility. Then I got older and I have, my dad, my bosses, my coaches, everybody telling me you're 100% responsible for what happens, even if they don't do their half. And it was like mind blowing. I was like, are you serious? Like, I think teachers, what they did was they babied us, and even parents and babysitters, whoever, they babied us until we got to a certain age and we're like, here's how it actually works. Instead of teaching you in the beginning.
It's not that that's how it actually works. It's
how it
works for powerful people.
Right.
And very powerful, heartfelt leadership. Because there's leaders out there in the world that people love and they look up to and they motivate them, but they don't operate from I'm 100% accountable. They go out there and they get everybody all fired up, and it's like, no, this is what you need to do. I'm not going to do any of it. The leaders you want is the ones that roll up their sleeves and they're in there in the trenches going, come on, this is how we get it done. You want to be inspired by leaders that know the magical formula, and I'm the first one to dive in there. It's like, when you're in the military and you have your drill sergeant telling you to go hit that 10-mile thing and then go to the obstacle courses and all that kind of stuff. You want to know that he's right there leading the pack, that he can get down in there and do it, and he can do it, blindly. So, you want to follow and be inspired by that kind of leadership, which is I am responsible for all of it. And you got to think like that when it comes to your relationships too. The second important key is, in order to experience the extraordinary in your relationship, you have to learn how to be present and in the moment. And you also have to have trained yourself to actually experience your experiences. And you'll be amazed how many people do not experience their experiences. Like, I can have them in an interactive dialogue or some kind of experiential exercise. And then I'll say, what's your experience? And they'll go, oh, it was, and they'll give me a whole story about it. And I said, no, I didn't ask you for the story. I'm asking you, what's your experience? And I'll go through this 3 or 4 different ways till I finally go, no, what do you feel? And they'll go, I feel good. Good's not a feeling. Well, how do you feel? I have to finally dice it down to I feel invigorated. I feel inspired. I feel alive. That's what we're looking for, is how do you feel in your relationship? Some of you aren't feeling your feelings. You're not experiencing your experiences. A lot of times, especially analytical people and very smart people, they have a concept of the experience. When they feel happy, it's more in their head. They don't get the goosebumps and the knee shake, and they don't know how to experience what's coming up for them.
Right, and we're actually going to end a little bit early today because you have a special dedication you want to make.
I want to dedicate, a song to my wife. I know it's a difficult time for her. We find people in our lives that inspire us, and she was inspired by an amazing man. His name is Prince, and I want to dedicate this song to her.
Thank you so much for joining us today on My Conscious Dad. We're here every Friday from 1 to 2 p.m. right here on your hometown station, AM 1220 KHTS.